For Maryland women's lacrosse, success is expected, and this season is no different. Despite some roadblocks along the way, the Terps are in prime position to make yet another deep run in the postseason. We'll break down the best moments from this season and what lies ahead for Kathy Reese's group on this edition of the Left Bench in Focus.
Overall, great day, a lot of room to improve, but a lot of great things came out of it as well.
Just sticking to our game plan, keeping our heads up and doing what we talked about.
Welcome to the Left Bench in Focus presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Eddy Calkins, that is Brendan Weissel, and Brendan, just 3 weeks ago, this Maryland women's lacrosse team was #1 in the country. Now, they're fighting to host an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, Eddie, Maryland has lost 3 games since being ranked #1 overall in late March. But the Big Ten tournament and Wednesday night's game against Princeton will tell us where they could be seated in the tourney. Speaking of Wednesday night's game, currently, Maryland leads 5-3 over Princeton with just over 4 minutes to go in the first.
On Saturday, the Terps had a chance at a Big Ten regular season title. But after blowing a 5-goal lead early in the first, #4 Maryland collapsed to #24 Penn State. It's senior day for the Terps, and those seniors are getting right to business, scoring 6 goals in the first period. But then, a Nittany Lion attack. A breakdown in defense for Maryland includes 8 free positions for PSU, as they score 9 of the next 11 goals. Hannah Lubecker scores a goal in the fourth to bring the Terps within 1, but it isn't enough to squeak by. Penn State wins 12-11. Here's Kathy Reese after Saturday's loss.
I mean, we shot probably 30% today, or maybe whatever it was. We were getting great looks on cage, had good opportunities, but didn't finish them, and that hurt us big time. And defensively, we put them on the 8-meter more than we've ever put anybody on the 8-meter. So, for whatever reason, we don't typically give up 11 8-meters a game, and that happened today. And it made it tough for us to stop them.
We have moved over to Studio B to preview the Big Ten tournament and see how Maryland and Kathy Reese have performed in past conference tournaments. But before we do that, we have to look at this season and who Maryland will be up against. So, Eddie, how have the other 6 teams in the Big Ten looked this season?
Well, Brendan, the Big Ten has some old faces in the standings as well as some new ones in the conference this year. Northwestern, once again, among the top teams in the conference as well as the country. But Michigan is the biggest surprise in the Big Ten this year. Ranked as the #4 team in the country, the Wolverines are 14-1 on the year with a 4-1 conference record. Their only loss to the Maryland Terrapins back in March. Junior Jill Smith leads Michigan with 57 points, including 45 goals. Fellow junior Aaron O'Grady stands between the pipes with a .611 save percentage, by far the best in Division I. And just a few years ago, the Wolverines were the worst in the Big Ten. And on Sunday, they'll have a chance to complete a major turnaround. Top-ranked Northwestern travels to Ann Arbor in what will be a massive matchup to decide who will win the Big Ten.
And Eddie, it's possible Maryland will be facing one of those teams in the championship, and that's because every single championship game in the Big Ten tournament, except the first year of the tournament in 2015, has included Maryland. In those 7 conference finals games, Maryland has won 4 and lost 3. All 3 of those losses came to Northwestern, and those title games have rarely been close, as the average margin of victory is more than 5 goals. This includes the last time Maryland won the title game when they beat Rutgers by 10 in 2022. Before joining the conference, Maryland had success in the ACC tournament, winning the final 6 ACC titles. After all 4 Big Ten tournament wins, Maryland has reached the Final 4 or better in the NCAA tournament. But Eddie, here's the catch. Maryland has only won the Big Ten tournament when they've come into the tournament as the #1 seed, meaning they were the regular season champs. In fact, the #1 seed coming into the tournament has won 6 out of 8 times.
Yeah, and Brendan, the success will be tested this year with a really tough Big Ten schedule. And right now, Maryland is currently slated to be the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th seed, depending on this weekend's outcomes. If the Terps can secure the 2nd or 3rd seed, it would be a huge advantage. Earlier this week, the Left Bench talked with Diamondbacks women's lacrosse beat writer Matthew Noose. Here's what he had to say about Maryland's chances as a 4 seed.
Most likely avoid Northwestern because they're most likely going to be a 1 seed. They're going to take care of business on the weekend against Michigan. So if you can avoid Northwestern in the semifinal, then it pretty much sets them up for a championship rematch against Northwestern.
We heard what Matt had to say, but I'm interested in our predictions. I want to know what you and I have to say. So I'll get us started for what we think is going to happen in the Big Ten tournament. I think Maryland, like they've done so many times, is going to make it to the championship game, but lose to Northwestern. You mentioned it earlier that Michigan hasn't lost away from home, and neither has Maryland, so one of those things is going to have to break.
Yeah, and Matt also said on Monday or Tuesday that if Maryland can get that 2 or 3 seed instead of being that 4 seed, they can avoid a Johns Hopkins or a Penn State who they lost to, can face one of those lower teams, Rutgers or Ohio State. So I think if they can do that, which I believe they will, they'll be able to easily kind of get to the semifinals, and then I think they will lose a heartbreaker in overtime in the semifinals. But as we know, Kathy Reese has the opportunity and has the capability of going all the way, not just in the Big Ten tournament, but also further in May. But what we do know is the Terps are guaranteed to host a quarterfinal matchup right here in College Park. Those games are scheduled for April 27th, and with a win, Maryland will head to Evanston the following weekend for the semifinals and then a potential championship game on Saturday, May 4th.
Now, stay with us because when we come back, Eddie and I will compete head-to-head, one of our favorite games, Heads Up.
We'll also crown our offensive and defensive players of the year, our rookie of the year, our MVP, and count down the top 5 plays of the season. Don't go anywhere.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
It took 20 years, and I got my 3rd child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Brendan Weissel, of course, Eddy Calkins. This Maryland women's lacrosse team has had quite the competition, to say the least.
Yeah, Brendan, they have beaten the number 2 team in the country twice, but have also dropped against number 1 Northwestern. Let's break down their 2024 season. Maryland is currently undefeated on the road, but have struggled at home. The Terps post a 3-4 record at home, which are tied for the most losses at home since 2020 combined. Maryland's season began with a commanding 13-goal win against St. Joseph's. After a thrilling overtime win at Syracuse, Emily Heller scored a couple of minutes into overtime, giving Maryland its first loss of the season against the 16th-ranked Florida Gators. Kathy Reese and company would then turn it into high gear, winning the next 6 contests by an average of just over 6 goals. Late March came around and proved to be the toughest stretch of the season. The Terps lost at home to then number 14 Penn and then squeaked out a defensive matchup against then second Michigan Wolverines. The following week, number 1 Northwestern came into College Park to face the second-ranked Terps. After a close first quarter, the Wildcats ran away, winning 17-9, giving Kathy Reese the first home conference loss of her career.
All right, now it is time to play one of our favorite games, Headbands. For those who don't remember, our producers selected members of the women's lacrosse team, wrote them down on these note cards, and now it's time to stick them on our foreheads.
Yeah, let's test our women's knowledge. Here we go. Ricky Podgorski, our executive
bringing
producer,
them up?
coming up, bringing them up. All right.
Those are pretty big.
Those are big. Yeah, man. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
I'm holding. Oh, you want to hold it?
Push it a little bit to your
I'll hold it. Are both names on the same card?
No, it's just one person to start.
Flick your hair back.
Oh, thank you, Ricky. You're too kind.
Might have to hold it a little bit.
Okay. Okay. You look
Is it
goofy.
good? You can see it?
Yeah. Brendan, why don't you
Okay,
go first?
I'll get us started.
Yeah. Go ahead. Ask
First question, offense or defense?
Really neither, but I would say technically defense.
Okay.
More defense
Technically
than offense.
defense. Is it a player at least?
Yes, it's a player.
Okay, it's a player. I thought, I could be on a coach. You said technically defense?
Yes.
Okay. Defense or midfield? What are your thoughts there?
Neither.
Neither. Wow, I am properly confused. Any hint you got for me there? Neither. This is a player currently on the team or no?
She's been at Maryland a long time, and she's been fantastic. We talked about her earlier. We will talk about her later in the show. She's kind of been Maryland the last couple of years.
Okay, I guess I'll go Emily Sterling, but that can't
That's
be correct.
correct.
That is correct. All right.
Yeah, now defense, offense, goalie, kind of.
Goalie.
In the middle,
Okay,
but
yeah,
more
that's
defense.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Let
On
me
to
go.
you. I'll remove this from my head.
Current player. Current player.
Current player. I'll give you that much.
Current player. All right. Offense, defense.
Offense.
Is it one of the Clevenger sisters?
It is not. Good guess. It is not.
Is it Hannah Lubecker?
It is not Hannah Lubecker.
Okay. Well, that kind of limits it to. Was it Libby May?
It is not.
Oh man. Okay.
I'll give you a year. It's a sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay.
If that helps you out at all.
I don't think it does. To be quite honest with you, I don't think it does.
All right. Played for Team USA.
Played for Team. Oh man, I'm gonna know this. It's hanging down. I can't see. I don't know. It's gonna fall.
Looking tough here. All right. How about we give mine? I'll do mine, and then you'll think on yours.
As it's falling.
Yes. Ricky, come back up and give me my second one, and you ponder on who that could be.
Ponder a sophomore offensive player.
Okay, you have to make. I'm being told you have to make a guess. So Ricky's putting this on my head. From Maryland.
Eloise Clevenger.
It is not. It is Corey Edmondson.
Oh man.
All right.
I'm sorry,
1-0
Corey.
going into the final
Sorry,
round.
Corey.
All right, I'll start us off. I'll do the same thing I started with last time. It's a player.
Yes, it is a player.
Okay. Offense or defense?
Offense.
Offense. Okay. More of attacker or more midfield? What are your thoughts?
Let's just go with it's a player I guessed last time.
It's a player you just guessed.
Yes.
Eloise Clevenger?
No.
I gotta think about who you guessed. Libby May?
Yes.
All right.
Correct. Oh,
I think I
so
won
you
this.
kind of already won, but for giggles, let's go with this one.
Absolutely.
Current player.
Current player, absolutely.
Defense, offense.
I believe offense.
Offense. Okay. Clevenger sister.
No. No, it's not.
Is it somebody already guessed?
I believe it's somebody guessed, and it's definitely somebody mentioned in the show.
Hannah Lubecker.
Very well.
There we go.
All right.
We got one.
2-1.
I couldn't be blown out there. I needed to get one. Get on the board.
Well, first ever competition. I take the win.
It's okay. It's
We'll be
good.
back
Good
here,
stuff.
hopefully. We'll play some more.
We will.
Absolutely. Very well. All right, well, that's enough of competition on our end. Now it's time to give out some awards to the players on the team.
Yeah, why don't you get us started, Brendan?
I absolutely will. This year's winner for Offensive Player of the Year is Hannah Lubecker. The fifth-year grad student leads the team in goals with 41 through 15 games. In conference play, Lubecker is averaging 3 goals per game, including a team-high 6 goals against Rutgers. Early in the season against Syracuse, she scored the game-tying goal in the fourth quarter and game-winning goal in double overtime. 3 seasons ago, as a sophomore, she led the team in scoring with 58 goals and is once again at the top of the scoring list for the Terps. Lubecker has been a constant scoring threat throughout her career at Maryland, so we are pleased to crown her the Offensive Player of the Year.
Now to go from offense to defense, we couldn't miss out on the opportunity to pick the former Big Ten Defender of the Year, Megan Ball. The transfer from Rutgers has picked up right where she left off last season. Ball currently leads the Terps in ground balls and calls turnovers. The grad student is also top 20 in Division I in calls turnovers per game. It's no surprise Ball has played in all 16 games so far this season and is on track to become another All-Big Ten player. Congrats to Megan on being our Defensive Player of the Year.
Our third award of the day goes to Maisie Clevenger for, you guessed it, Rookie of the Year. This isn't the first award the freshman has won in her career. Clevenger took home Howard County Player of the Year her final 3 years at Marriott's Ridge High School. She has appeared in 14 games this season and has 7 goals and 8 assists. In her first game as a Terp, she had a career-high 3 points in the win against St. Joseph's. That's the same number of points her sister Eloise had her entire rookie year. Best of all, the sisters have teamed up. Twice this season, Eloise has scored on a pass from her sister, and 3 times this season, Maisie has scored on a pass from her sister. That's almost half of Maisie goals all season that have come from her sister. Now that's pretty darn cool. With this Rookie of the Year award, Maisie will continue to carry on the Clevenger legacy in Maryland women's lacrosse.
So we've talked about it all show. This Maryland women's lacrosse team is loaded with talent. And it's the senior class is unlike anything we've ever seen before. And if it were up to me, the whole team would get MVP awards. But unfortunately, we have to pick one, so we've decided to go with the longtime goalie for the Terps as our MVP. Emily Sterling came to College Park in 2020 and quickly became Kathy Reese's top option. After back-to-back Big Ten Goaltender of the Year awards and a National Goalie of the Year award in 2022, Sterling looked to add to her legacy this season. The grad student has been strong between the pipes all season and is currently third in the country in save percentage this season. Like most of the Maryland team, she is once again in line for many postseason awards, and that is why she got the nod for our MVP.
I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a little more from Emily Sterling in the top 5 plays. Eddie, get us started.
I would be glad to. At number 5, it's Eloise Clevenger with a little and one action. She scores through contact. Look at that, gets hit with a couple of sticks and finishes the goal. Absolute beauty.
Very impressive perseverance there. Number 4, Libby May left wide open against JMU. Does a nice jump there, a little Air Jordan. Where I'm from, they call that an Air May. Beautiful.
And we're sticking with JMU, the JMU game. Emily Sterling coming up big. We just talked about her. She's our MVP. Absolutely fantastic save over that big, huge win.
For number 2, we'll go to the Northwestern game. Eloise Clevenger behind the back. If Maryland plays Northwestern again, she might need a couple more of those to keep them on pace.
Yeah, and coming in at number 1, of course, is the game winner from earlier in February. Hannah Lou Becker scores in double overtime to take down number 5 Syracuse. An absolute great win, a thrilling win, and a very important win. Now that we are into the beginning of May, into postseason play, that was a huge win for the Terps early in the year.
And a very exciting, we talked about the double overtime winner. You and I got to get a little more creative. I feel like both times we've been up here this semester, we've picked Syracuse plays as number 1. Women's basketball, Cheyenne Sotos had a buzzer beater, and now we have one here.
Yeah, so pretty exciting. We'll try better next time, not to just pick from Syracuse. But hey, maybe the Terps have a little magic against Syracuse.
Absolutely. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Left Bench in Focus. In 2 weeks, Andrew McBride and Ben Wolf will break down the men's lacrosse team, the final In Focus show of the year.
Be sure to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central's coverage on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.